again. Second time. Okay, first of all, I have to just say that I'm standing for this one because I feel like I really don't exude myself like as who I am when I'm sitting down. I keep watching the Oz video and I'm like, I'm kind of boring. So I'm trying not to be that way because that's not who I am. So any of you who know me know that that's true. And I have a little bit of a cold, so excuse my raspy voice. These will hopefully be getting a lot better quality as I go on and as I evolve as a vlogger. But right now, it's just enough for me to try and stay on a schedule and actually create a habit. So I am like bound and determined no matter what to get a video out there every Friday. I really could care less if people actually watch them. It's more for my internal like, I'm going to do this. I said I'm going to do this, so I'm going to do it, and I have to do it no matter what. So I am doing that. So thank you for watching. Welcome back. I have something on my mind for today's video. So I went to this incredible winter camp. This is the sweatshirt. Winter camp. You know what I love about it? One of the things that I love the most about it is that they didn't have like some fancy name for it. Like, I think names are fun and everything, but like my church SL2, that really doesn't stand for anything anymore. It used to stand for South Lake 2, but that was like almost 4 years ago. And now we just call it SL2 still because churchy names are funny sometimes. And I love their like Winter Camp 2015. Like, perfect. We don't need to be like escape from the prison of, I don't know. That was lame. Anyways, okay, you get what I mean. Maybe you don't, whatever. I need to keep moving. So I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I always think about it. And some of you may have read, some of you may have not read, my blog that I wrote, one of them from Europe this past summer. It turns out when I was traveling from Italy to Germany, I got stuck on this train that I didn't even know if it was going the right direction because nobody could talk to me about it in English, and there were just little pieces that I was figuring out. So they were like, basically one train was coming and at some point in the middle of the night it was going to split off, and one half of it was going to go to Germany and one half of it was going to stay in Italy, and I needed to get to Germany. And I just kind of like, someone like assured me kind of like, yeah, that I was on the right train, but that was it. And so I was like, well, it's adventure time. And so then I get on the train and there are so many people and there is no room at all. There are no seats. I had just come off of like this first class train because I got the Eurail pass, and so normally that actually kind of ensures you a nice seat, and it didn't this time at all. And so I'm literally sitting, I felt like they packed us in like cattle. Like, I am sitting in this hallway that's barely narrow enough for me to walk through, and I'm sitting there packed in with all these other people on my suitcase with my other bag like wrapped around me. It is literally the middle of the night in the middle of nowhere. I have no idea where we are. Obviously no cell reception, no Wi-Fi on this one. There's Wi-Fi on some of the nicer trains. Not on this one. This was not that kind of train. So, and then they're like walking over us literally to try and like stamp our tickets, and then I didn't give them the right ticket at first, so they're like yelling all this stuff like they're gonna throw me off in the middle of the night somewhere, and I was not about to let that happen. So anyways, got through that debacle. It's about 4 in the morning at this point, and finally a seat opens up, and I think I was getting off at like 5:30 or something, so I was like almost to the end of my craziness anyways. But I hadn't slept all night. I was like, I had been traveling all day. The travel days, like, it was a really amazing trip, but the days where I would travel from one place to another were really stressful and like not restful at all. So I had already been traveling all day before I'd gotten on this train at like 11 o'clock that night. And so anyways, long story, just a little bit shorter. I get into a seat, like it's like this fabulous, glorious, like, oh my gosh, I have a seat. I don't have to like lay in the hallway anymore and have weird guys staring at me and like hold on to my luggage as I'm trying to sleep, but like the train's like everywhere and the hallway does not like exude comfort at all. So anyways, I get in a seat And most of you, if you know me, you know how I am when I'm tired. Like, don't mess with me first thing in the morning. Don't mess with me if I'm, like, just getting up from a nap or if I'm, like, exhausted. Like, I don't do well with, like, acting like I'm okay when I'm not. So I sit down and I'm just like, oh, so I start to, like, lean my head over to go to sleep or try or whatever. Just, like, enjoy this seat. And this couple in front of me, they're really nice people. And if I ever run into them, I actually wouldn't be upset. It was just really kind of a bizarre experience because they start talking to me. Turns out that they're from Grand Coulee, Washington. And they know my stepdad's dad. Weird. Like, small world, right? Like, pretty cool, awesome, whatever. So they start asking me what I do. I told them I'm a full-time student right now, and I just started at Western Seminary. And so the woman who I was talking to says, oh, well, what program are you in? And I was like, well, the MDiv, Masters of Divinity, which is normally what people go for when they want to become a pastor, which I feel called to. And I'm just starting to be able to say that in confidence, which is the point of this whole story. But she immediately turns to me and she just says, what does a girl do with that? And I was like, ugh, like, okay, I know that that's what a lot of people feel. But it was like, seriously, I'm on the other side of the world right now, especially tonight or this morning or whatever time it was when I finally started talking to her. And I was like, that's what really, like, I'm never going to be able to escape this. And for a second, it was incredibly discouraging. And I literally just felt Jesus sitting next to me, like, grabbing my leg, like, okay, Brooke, like, don't freak out right now. Like, this is, because I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that I have to, like, deal with this everywhere. And I didn't realize, I don't think until that moment, the level of insecurity I had about my calling. And, you know, then I came home and I was in seminary when I was over in Europe, but I was taking mostly online classes, obviously. And so then I came home to this last semester, the fall semester, and it was my first experience full-time on campus. And everyone has, like, the most amazing heart. Like, nobody's been really rude to me or intentionally making me feel like I didn't belong. But there are so many things that happen that it's kind of bizarre to me how strong of a stigma there still is against women in ministry. And this awkwardness, like, oh, like, you're not in the counseling program? Oh, like, you're not, it just is like, it's weird, you guys, it's so weird. And I've had to really question, like, did I hear God right? Is this something what do I believe about this? And really what I've come down to is this, that I know I hear God. I know I do. And this last weekend, I had, like, the most insane privilege of speaking at a winter camp to almost, like, 300 people, students and staff there. And I had 24 hours notice. I wrote about it a little bit. If you haven't read it, it's in my latest blog section on my website. But I have never been more confirmed in my heart in my entire life that I am called to teach. I'm called to be a pastor. I'm called to lead. And God has given me gifts for that. And I'm okay with the kind of awkwardness, but it's just kind of confusing to me. And I just want to, like, use my voice to start conversations about this. Because here's the thing. I will never convince you, if you believe with everything in you that it's not biblical for a woman to be a pastor, and that's great. You know what that means? That means that I'm just never going to work for your church. And I think that both of us would be, like, just fine with that. So if that's not a threat, and unless you see it as a salvation issue, like, if you think I'm going to hell for wanting to be a pastor, then that's, like, a severe, extreme view. First of all, take a check of your heart, please. But okay, so even if you check your heart and you still believe that, okay, great, that's kind of extreme, but I haven't ever really heard anyone say that to me, like, they're concerned for my salvation. So if it's not a salvation issue, just hear me out for a second, then why do you care? If I'm not going to work for your church, if you're not really fearful that I'm actually losing my salvation over this, then why even talk about it? Like, why do we care? I won't work for your church. You won't hire me. It's okay. No hard feelings. In the meantime, I just would really love, I wrote an article I'm actually trying to get published right now about this. And really what I came down to is this, that with any large issues in the Christian church, in the Christian world, I really don't get it. I really don't get why we spend so much time on it. It's kind of ridiculous if you think about it, because we are only fighting against each other as Christians instead of being the body and being united and being one. So if these things are not salvation issues, then why do we spend so much time debating them? And so I really just, in this article I wrote, I just said, listen, like, I want to, like, ask my brothers something. And that is just to please treat me like your sister. I am so over the debate. I know the verses, top, like front and back, that you're going to throw at me from the Bible. I don't mind actually sitting down and having theological discussions about it, but if you want to have a conversation about it, great, let's have a conversation about it. But don't just like throw verses at me. And yes, that's happened. I know those verses because I live in the shadow of them. And it's been very difficult. And I do not pretend for 1 second to have an experience of prejudice that even gets close to what most people, minorities and all these, you know, just different situations. Our world is so broken. There's so much hurtful, deep, painful, horrific prejudice that goes on. And I please do not think that I'm putting myself in that same category. But what this has done is it has woken me up to the fact that I'm experiencing just this tiny bit of prejudice, and it can be really soul crushing in certain situations to feel completely devalued and to feel like I have no worth because I'm a woman, and that that I must have heard God wrong, and just all these assumptions. That alone is so painful that it's actually opened my heart up to really be more empathetic and want to take more of an initiative and responsibility as a human being and as your sister to go out and research and discover and talk with people and figure out how they deal with prejudice and what we can do to change this, because it's really kind of ridiculous, you guys. We are the church, we are a body, and we are not ever going to be perfect, but we can really try and love each other a lot better than we're doing. So really what I concluded with is this. This video is kind of all over the place, but what I concluded with is this. That bottom line, I'm your sister. Please treat me like it. Don't look down on me. If you have some magical way of hearing God's heart's conversations with my heart that I've missed out on, then please, by all means, let me know. I won't believe you, but we can talk about it and I can set you straight. But here's the thing. None of us know what God has been talking about with each of us. Like, it's a gray area in the Bible. So it's not like this black and white sin. So please don't treat it like one. There are very few of those anyways, and that's what gets us in a lot of trouble as the church. But just treat me like your sister. You know, this isn't, if it's not a salvation issue, if you don't have some magical way of listening in on me and God's private heart-to-heart conversations, then treat me like your sister. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I'm here to ask you to treat me like a human, and I will do the same for you, albeit it might be a little hard at 4:30 in the morning when I've been awake all night on a train in the middle of the country, out in the middle of nowhere in Europe. So maybe that's not the best time to start this conversation with me. You're welcome for letting you know that. But if it's any other time than that, I would gladly have a conversation with you about it. But I'm called, and I have a gift, and God's given it to me, and who am I to debate that? I'm going to do my best, as all of us should, to really follow what He's telling us to do. And so if we all do that and stay out of each other's business when it's not our business, especially if you don't know me, then I think this world could be a better place for you and for me. Oh my gosh. Okay, I need to stop. All right, those are my rantings for today, just to get it up on YouTube, because I am committed to sticking to a habit this year. So thank you for listening. If you made it this far, and please message me and email me and text me or whatever, your comments, if you have actually a respectful way of wanting to talk about it. Otherwise, I'm just going to ignore you like you do me at seminary.